So today, Dougie and I are on a road trip up to Oregon City. Last week, I found a '69 Roadrunner on Marketplace, and I called the guy up and made a deal to buy it for Graveyard Motors. So what we have to do is go up and inspect the car to make sure it's right, make sure everything matches like it's supposed to, and then hand the gentleman the money, load it up on the rollback, and head back to town. Okay. What's wrong with that VIN right there? Just take a peek. Well, I'm not too worried about it, but
it's kind of shiny.
This just means somebody's had the dash off at some point and used the wrong rivets to put it back in. Can be innocent. Lots to look at. Very interesting car. What Doug noticed on this dash VIN, very observant of him, the rivets are just standard commercial rivets. Now, originally, on Chryslers, they used a rosette rivet, multi-sided. We've shown it many times. We buy them, and when we restore the dash VINs, we take the plate off, we clean them up, we put a new transfer on them, rivet them back in place with the correct rosette rivets. In this particular case, we've got a dash VIN, which is only held in place with 2 rivets, having been replaced, but we don't know what the rest of the car is. So does the car match that, or did somebody just find a dash VIN plate somewhere and put it on a '69 Plymouth Satellite? Very important to know why they're there, and that's why we have to dive further into this car.
Yeah.
There's no fender tag, so no broadcast sheet. So we'll end up having to check the hidden numbers on it. I don't even know what color it was from the factory.
Ooh. What do you see in there?
What is it? Is it pink?
Yeah. Sure is. I can't tell which color's on top of which, but it's most certainly.
It is pink though, right?
Yes, it is pink.
They did have that color, even though officially it didn't come out until '70 when it got an FM3. This looks like it's over the top of orange.
Yes.
Right here.
Uh-huh.
This is really interesting on the pink. So we all know FM3 is your Moulin Rouge in Plymouth and your Panther Pink in Dodge. 1969, that color wasn't out yet. So how in the world could we have a pink floor? Because it could have a code 999 paint code. That 999 represented a color that wasn't available on a particular model. Maybe it was available over on a Plymouth Fury, but it wasn't available on this. Chrysler had it available. So they'd say, you can have the color, but we're gonna give you a code 999, and there's gonna be an upcharge for that. Now, the other time you see this is with corporate colors. So if you wanted all the vehicles red because your company was red, I think they waived the surcharge, the upcharge for it, but all of those would be coded 999 as long as it wasn't a color that was available on that particular model. If it was a color that would be available on that year, make, and model, then it would just have the correct paint code. So if this was a '70 Coronet, it would be FM3, but it's a '69. So it is possible this is a pink car. There is one known Super B 1969 that was painted pink. And it turns out that the one known is a survivor car. It's a Super B, and it is a pink, but it's not Panther pink. So it's another pink, and we're just unsure of what pink it is, but it is really an original pink car, 1969, and it's code 999 on the fender tag. So we know at least one of that model of car got out that way. So is this the other one, this Roadrunner? That's what we don't know. If it is, it's a very rare car.
Careful, that's sharp. God, I'm just sick of this. Mark asked me to go get something to scrape the paint off. So I found a knife in the truck. Next thing I know, he says,
It's a shank, it's not a knife.
it's a butter knife.
It's a shank, it's a butter knife that's been cut down to be a shank. Why would you have this?
I sharpened it just a little bit.
God. So what I got going on right now, guys, is it looks like it's orange on there now, but we have no fender tag. I have no broadcast sheet, so we just have to establish what the original color was and just make sure that all the hidden body numbers match too. Very important. It's pretty much what I expected. It's got some rust in the bottoms of it. Good, complete car for the most part. So the package tray, is that pink as well?
It is. It's got gray primer over the top of pink. Okay, so I did start getting kind of excited when we looked in this '69 Roadrunner and saw the pink paint all over everything, but I didn't think pink came out until 1970.
That looks pink.
That is pink. Pink as bubble gum.
God, that's amazing. Like I say, I know they made a few, but they didn't even have a paint code. I think the pink cars in 69 were like a 999 paint code. Okay. All right, very interesting.
Yeah.
Opening the trunk up, I saw orange everywhere. Orange on the hinges, orange on the guides, the plastic guides, the floor. I didn't see evidence anywhere in there of pink. So, without going too far down the rabbit hole, you gotta ask yourself, number one, at this point in the inspection, because that's all we are is just investigating, why do we have a pink floor, but we don't have a pink back half of the car in the trunk area? Has somebody clipped the car? Has the car been cut in half and married together a pink front of a car along with an orange back of a car? So we have to make sure that the body numbers, the hidden body numbers, match that VIN that's on the dash and match the radiator support. If all three of them do, then we know that that car has not been clipped. It's got the original back half on it, the original front half on it, and the original dash VIN. Now, to find this, we have to do a little bit more investigating, kind of the fun stuff. I have to remove the layers of paint. We did this once before, by the way, way back in season 2 or 3. Darren and I went over to Summers Classic Cars, and they wanted me to validate a car. And so to check the trunk numbers, they were flooded with paint, as is the case with this one. So to see it, I had to remove the paint over there, and I have to do the same thing here. I've just scraped that paint off. I wasn't really prepared to. I should have had a little toolkit for this, but I needed to get that paint off there so I could check the last 8 digits that are stamped into it to make sure that they match that dash VIN and the radiator support. Okay. It's anywhere in this run right here. Oh, here we go.
I absolutely love this stuff too. It's like solving a mystery. It's just like the Alfred Hitchcock mystery magazines that my grandmother had when I'd stay with her at the coast. I would read those things for hours. I would go to our library here in town and they had these big hardbacks, and I even have a set of those today.
Let's try some sandpaper on there.
Is that an 8 and a 5?
It's got G9.
Okay.
Go read the VIN to me. 9G.
Yes. 224358.
Beautiful. Boy, I was getting a little worried there.
Yeah.
So now we know we have good trunk numbers and they match the dash VIN. So the one thing we know for sure is that that dash VIN started life on at least that back half of the car. The thing that's going to tell us that the front half of the car is the same and it's all one and there's no problems are those radiator support numbers. Somebody added this hood, although it looks like an aftermarket version of it. All right. Right there's where I wish we had the tag still, but that's okay that we don't. It's okay. Look at the pink. Isn't that pink?
It's red and blue and rust and orange.
Okay, there's no pink there. Good.
There's purple.
Yeah, well, that was a popular color in 1970. 2-speed wipers.
Manual steering.
Manual drum brakes. Manual steering. Yeah. This is what Roadrunners were built for, folks. We know all Roadrunners had sway bars. There is a sway bar on it. This is a manual steering car. That was your base unit Roadrunner. Manual steering, manual brakes. These cars were born to go fast. They don't care about all of the luxurious stuff like some do. Some did. You know, you take Brett Torino's Coronet RT that we talk about all the time. So you can make a real luxurious version, but everything I'm seeing under the hood right now looks like 1969 Roadrunner, what I would expect to see. One of the things you have to be able to look past is when somebody rattled cans underneath the hood black, and that's what it looks like happened here. We've got no engine or trans, that's fine, that's how I'm buying the car. But it would be nice to see that original orange underneath there. In this particular case, they've gone all around it with black rattle can. I don't even have to scrape this, I can see it.
Nice.
Yeah, there's your numbers right there, folks. 224358, right?
Yep.
Looks like original K member. All Roadrunners came with sway bars. Standard heavy duty 11-inch drums. Good. Body numbers all matched, so the body hasn't been messed with. Somebody's had the dash out, but they used the wrong rivets to reapply it, which is just fine. When we restore the car, it'll get the correct rivets on it. Okay, so we have good news on the radiator support. It matches the dash fin, which matches the trunk lip, and that tells me, folks, this car is a real 69 Roadrunner. It's a little rough. They all are at that age. If for this kind of money, I didn't pay a lot for the car, but I have a 1968 383 in automatic that I inherited, which is the wrong year, but it would at least be a Roadrunner engine, a Roadrunner transmission. that I'll put in this car and make it at least whole. Maybe make it run, maybe make it just start up and pull around the parking lot under its own power. So Honest Mark can come at you with a beautiful one owner, mint condition, 69 Roadrunner. Like I say, everything on the car lined up, so I was in a position to get the guy out there, lay the cash on him, and get this car loaded up. What'd you learn today? Tell little boys and girls in TV land, what'd you learn?
The VIN number has been changed from a different dash. It has the wrong rivets holding it in place.
That is not necessarily what that means.
We learned that the VIN number to this tag matches the one on the
drip
rail.
We learned that the drip rail hidden numbers are original.
And the core support numbers.
And the core support numbers are original, and sandwiched in between them, it has that VIN there that has been off of the dash at some point and put back on. There's a chance this car went to a junkyard, who knows, back in the 70s. But they kept that, which is the most important thing, because you can't have a new one of those made.
You can't?
Nope, nobody's making those because it's against the law, which is probably what got you a shank in your back pocket.
Whoa.
Time in prison. What'd you do, a dime up in Salem? All right, we're gonna load this turkey up and get it out of here.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Pat.
my brother.
Yeah,
I appreciate you a lot, and
You
we'll
too.
get her loaded up. And
All right.
be watching for that used car salesman to be introducing this soon. All I had left was to get it loaded up, head back on the long, torturous trip back with Cousin Dougie. So, I got a question for you. What's with the shank, seriously?
What's with the shank?
Why would you have a shank? That's prison stuff. That's not a butter knife, that's a shank. But at the end of the day, we had a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner, and I'm happy. It's back here, we'll get it put together, we'll get it up for sale. I just wished I could have gone up by myself and got it, and I probably could have, but Dougie's like a little kid that wants to go on the road trip with you. And I learned a lot about fried chicken, I learned a lot about things that don't mean anything to people. Now next time I have a plan. You take him to the rest stop, he goes in the bathroom, he comes out, I'm gone. What did I do wrong? Hello ghouls, Mark Worman here, the ice tray from Graveyard Carz. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. We have fantastic stuff coming up, and some of it you've never seen before. I gotta go insult people. Hey Alice!